It's safe to say that when Sonic Mania was announced a few weeks ago in the early hours of the morning while I was on holiday in Margate, I was pretty darn excited. This is basically what I look like holding my phone watching the trailer for the first time in our hotel bed. Just a couple days later, the game was announced to be playable at Summer of Sonic, so we knew that jumping in the queue for this was a must on the day.
From seeing the announcement trailer, I've been seriously excited for Sonic Mania, and knowing I was getting to play the demo at Summer of Sonic had me hyped even more. I had positively worked myself into a Sonic Mania! Woohoo!
Okay, I'll be honest, my mission for that day was simple. Queue for Sonic Mania. Play Sonic Mania. Fall asleep because I had a hangover. Yes, the word you're looking for is professional.
Following the news that Sonic Mania was heading our way next year, I was delighted to hear that a demo would be playable at Summer of Sonic, so it would be daft for me to pass up the chance to give it a go.
Even while queuing up and seeing the demo being played in front of me, the excitement just wouldn't subside.
While most people were content to whiz through one of the two playable stages, I was a little bit cheeky and managed to squeeze in both. Sorry to the people in the queue.
After a somewhat long queue, I decided to choose to play Studiopolis Zone, though really I should have attempted to play both levels, but never mind.
Once I got eagerly sat down and started to play, the strangest thing occurred. All that hype and excitement gave way to what I can only describe as a feeling of calm euphoria. This just felt right.
The game played so familiar. I guess much of my Sonic muscle memory must have snapped into place because I almost felt like I was playing a level I knew.
In fact, as I was playing it, it felt like I had already played it before, but in a good way. It's hard to describe, as Rob put it, muscle memory kicked in and I was just content and comfortable.
I jumped into Studiopolis Zone, and after a brief moment of experimenting with and admiring the slick new tweaks to various animations, I just couldn't help but blast my way through the stage.
I did stop around to explore a bit at times, but Tom's the real speed demon here. I noticed he sat down next to me after I started, but had cleared the act before me. Visually, well, you can see for yourself that it plays rather faithfully to the Mega Drive games, and I noticed that the shields made a welcome return. For some reason I was trying to amuse Tom, Aaron and Stacey in the queue by impersonating the different power-ups. And of course,
Studiopolis Zone serves as a great taste for what you might expect in Mania, which is handy as it was part of a demo designed to show you what you can expect in Mania.
It mashes up the pinball machine stylings of zones like Collision, Chaos and Spring Yard, but the level layout is more akin to something like Starlight Zone, with crazy fast loops of all shapes and sizes mixed in with some slower platformy bits.
A great mix of new and fun obstacles and set pieces, and others that may leave you saying things like, those platforms look a lot like the ones in Scrap Brain Zone.
But to simply compare it to previous zones would be underselling it. The movie studio motif and the earworm of a tune make it one of the most lively and creative levels I've seen in a Sonic game in decades.
There are also some nice Sega references as well that left a sizable smile on my face.
So what was the music like through those headphones? The slickness of Studiopolis reminded me a teensy bit of the Sonic Mega Collection title screen, but with added 90s voice samples. It lacks what I'd consider the grit of the Mega Drive sound, which has its detractors, but with Sonic I feel they were a perfect match of melody and, dare I say it, edginess? If we were to believe the convincing conspiracy theories, perhaps they could have plundered some more of MJ's back catalogue. Really though, it's a fine soundtrack that bounces along and kept a Richter-like grin on my face throughout.
After that I had a go at Green Hill. It starts as an exact copy of Act 1 from the original game, but once you fly out of the tunnel into the rings in the sky, it becomes a combination of the original Act 2 and a whole bunch of new alternative routes, with the stage ending underground in caves kinda like the ones in Sonic Generations Green Hill, along with a mini-boss. This makes me really curious as to how the next act will play out.
So, the demo got a lot of things right, but it also played things a little safe, especially with the inclusion of a slightly revamped Green Hill Zone. For the full game, I'm hoping for less the nostalgia goggling at old but admittedly well-designed levels, and more of a focus on new levels, characters, boss designs and story, some of which admittedly was present in the Studiopolis act. I appreciate, for example, that the story for, say, Sonic 3 and Knuckles isn't that complicated, and even flirts with some fun parody with the inclusion of a Death Star with a moustache, but it's very memorable. One of the key elements I hope they take from that game in particular is the idea of a transition between levels, or even acts, that make an attempt at bridging the two narratively. I'll admit some were lazy, like the tunnel that took you from Ice Cap to Launch Base, but do you remember Marble Garden to Casino Night? That was such a cool day-to-night flight. And of course it made you think, why couldn't Tails carry Sonic for that long during the levels? I mean, what gives? I've rambled on about Sonic 3 and Knuckles again. Okay, anyway.
I didn't have much luck working out the drop dash during my run, and was a little let down the demo lacked a proper explanation for it. From what I've seen of this welcome new addition to Sonic's repertoire, I can only imagine its application in some blinding speedruns. And since the Gagaman has given me the lowdown on this technique, I can't wait to get back on the game and try it out.
I wanted to figure out the new drop dash move, as I had barely seen anyone manage or bother to pull it off in online footage. It's far simpler than some impressions made it sound. You jump, hold jump and let go of jump when you land, if that makes any sense. This is signalled to you by Sonic's ball form getting a subtle wiggle to it and a faint but distinctive whiz noise that I can only describe by impersonating it. Once I had done it a couple times, it started to become second nature and I found myself really comfortable with it. While I am going to miss the Insta-Shield from Sonic 3, I can see this becoming a vital tool that's different enough from the regular spin dash and is balanced in a way where you can't just spam it. There's a mechanic from Chaotix, and if you see a TV box, it's got like a blue ring in it. When you lose your rings next, if you've got loads of them, they become giant rings.
Sonic Mania is a game made by the fans for the fans, literally. A collaborative effort between veterans of the Sonic fan game community and Sega.
This really does look and feel like an unearthed Sega Saturn Sonic game from an alternative, better timeline where Sega continued the 2D series into the 32-bit era beyond Chaotix.
Every aspect of detail and control has been studied and replicated in painstakingly spot-on accuracy. This is why that feeling of muscle memory kicks in. Those physics, that feeling of momentum and worrying lack of traction are back, and it feels so very good.
All the extra touches to the animation and sprite art fill in the gaps that my imagination had always done in the past. It's smoother, more alive, and 90s as all hell. Even the name sounds like something they would have come up with back then, you know, like Sonic Jam. Mania, Jam, it's 90s. Very 90s.
To make one thing clear, I'm not just looking for more of the same with Sonic Mania, or a cheap nostalgia hit, though the noises I've made from my mouth parts in the last few minutes may sound that way. In truth, that nostalgia hit is still coursing through my veins and will do for some time. I want to see fresh ideas as creative as what I've seen in Studiopolis.
Every other attempt at recreating the classics in the past from Sega themselves were more a case of, this is alright or even good, but... Whereas here, there are no what ifs or buts. It's just Sonic perfection, I think. Possibly. I guess it's too early to say perfection, but man, this feels like the Sonic game I've been waiting for ever since I doodled level layouts for Mega Drive follow-up games as a kid in 1997.
Mania is clearly a love letter to a very special era in gaming. But in my brief time with this game has shown me anything, it's how much more classic Sonic has to offer. And I can't wait to get my hands on Sonic Mania in 2017. Bring it on! you might want to cut out that bring it on.
The more important thing is that from what I saw of the game, it feels to me that I'm playing the type of Sonic game that I missed from the heyday, though taking into account how much more fluid animation is possible nowadays. With niche illusions such as the popcorn machine, and new features such as the drop dash, which I wasn't aware of until a member of staff asked me about it, to boot, I can see the game shaping up to be a fine tribute to the things I liked the most about the Mega Drive era, and I can't wait for the final game to materialise.
As far as I'm concerned, this is the game I'm most looking forward to in 2017 right now, and hope Sega Europe give me the opportunity to chuck more money at them by bringing over the recently announced special edition and maybe even a physical disc release? Come on, this game deserves it because it's gonna be special.
Wish list aside, crucially in its current form, it's fun to play, and if you haven't already guessed, I'm looking forward to next year, and hope they don't drop dash my hopes.
Bye Sonic Mania, I'll miss you. See you in the spring I suppose, but I want it now.